To invite you into what we humbly think is one of the most beautiful areas of Canada, right in the heart of the Fraser Valley. We worked very hard to get the sun to come out for you today so that you could enjoy the splendor that is here. But we're thrilled that you'd actually take some time to just sort of press the flesh and grassroots meet the locals. I have a councillor here, Councillor Patricia Ross. I think that's the only councillor, and I know that there was some councillors from Langley that I think you've been introduced to as well.
Anybody from Langley would be here.
Did your mama teach you how to talk with your mouth full back there? And Chilliwack. So we have everywhere for everywhere, so it's an absolute pleasure for you to be here, and thank you very much.
Well, thank you, Bruce. Thank you, Jati, for once again being such a consummate organizer and friend, pulling extraordinary amounts of people together, sometimes at the very last minute, and I really appreciate it. But I especially appreciate all of you coming out today. It's an incredibly beautiful day. And I'm sure there's all sorts of things you should be and could be doing midweek, whether it's the back nine somewhere nearby on a perfect afternoon like this, or being at work. To come out today really touches me, and I have to tell you, I've been quite impressed and overwhelmed over the past few days. We started we boarded an RV in Banff about 4 days ago, and have been tracing our way through the interior, stopping in just small parks and places like Creston or Vernon, some bigger places like Cranbrook, Kamloops, and Kelowna. And the response has just been extraordinary. People were talking, 100, 200, 300 people coming out at some stops to meet, to chat, to not hear a big political speech, because that's not what I've been giving. It's just been about actually people excited about the idea that politics can connect with them again. That politics is being done in a way that is open, that is engaging, that is paying attention to people. And as much as I am pleased that I bring a certain history, when we're traveling, near places like Salmon Arm, it's not because my father was so beloved. It's really something that's very much present day and looking towards the future. And I think, humbly, I'm really just the trigger or the catalyst for it. I'm not the reason for it. The reason for people coming out is much more the fact that Canadians are realizing how cynical we are about politics and how we are tired of being cynical about politics. We don't need to be cynical. We are in this extraordinary, incredible country with bountiful natural resources, amazing human resources, and tremendous opportunities for growth, for fairness, for opportunity for everyone. And the thing is that over the past years, we've had a government that is focused on dividing people rather than bringing people together, looking for fault lines to play up for electoral advantage. And, to be honest, it's worked. They got themselves a majority through careful application of strategic, pressure here and there and spin and all sorts of things. But even though you can get elected that way, you can't actually govern responsibly once you've so divided a country and picked trigger issues to get yourself elected. It becomes really hard to try and bring people together and make the right decisions, not just in the short term, but in the long term. And that's what Canadians need to do. As much as I like the soundtrack, I'm just going to take a second here. I'll also program your VCR so it doesn't blink 12.
You've been here before.
Wonderful to be back here. I didn't do that last time. So really what I've been seeing is a lot of people who are, as we all are as Canadians, No, I just did the volume. That's okay. Even if it keeps going. A lot of people who are understanding that we understand as Canadians what it is to be good citizens. Being a citizen is more than just paying your taxes, voting, and obeying the law. Being a citizen is being aware of your potential and therefore your responsibility to affect the community around you. Either directly through service, like our many municipal councillors and theirs here, or indirectly through your charitable work, through time you take on various causes to help out in the community, local organizations. Canadians are more engaged than ever before, both in local issues and in big international ones, whether it's objection to the terrible Northern Gateway pipeline, or whether it's worries about global warming on a grand scale. People are active and engaged. We just tend to have thrown up our hands and say, you know what? Politics is no longer a worthy vessel for citizen engagement. And once we do that, well, it's certain that it becomes no longer a particularly useful endeavor. Certainly not at the federal level. And what I've been very much focused on doing over the past year, through the leadership and in the subsequent months, has been about connecting people and drawing them back into the idea that federal politics does matter. But before we can present a vision and a comprehensive platform and a plan for the future, as we will and as we must, we actually have to go around reminding Canadians that, unlike what we have now, government is supposed to be in the business of having a plan for the future, of having a vision for the coming generations, of having an idea of how to solve our challenges. Because for all my complaints that this government is mean-spirited, that's not my greatest complaint about them. My biggest criticism of this government? It's small-minded. It doesn't think that we're going to be able to meet and surpass the challenges of the 21st century. So it focuses on coasting. It focuses on just getting by. Encourages us to hunker down and reminds us we're doing better than Spain. You know what? That's not good enough. I mean, we're facing real challenges.
Very much challenging.
What we're facing right now is the fact that over the past 30 years, even though our economy has more than doubled in size, grown over 100%, average family incomes in this country have increased by only 13%. So we have a stagnation of the middle class, basically. While costs are rising, that means personal and household debts are exploding. And it all ties in to the right-driven narrative of trickle-down economics. The idea that if big businesses are doing well, the rest of the economy is going to do fine. Well, that actually is not true. The economy does well, not when big businesses do well, but a successful economy, a successful economy is driven fundamentally by middle-class consumers, by people who have good jobs and the money to spend. And when you focus on, and this is the new buzzword that a lot of people from Obama to others around the world who've also witnessing this challenges of gradual income inequality and a stagnating and a loss of the middle class, have realized that we have to turn back towards middle-out economics. That if we have a prosperous and successful middle class, if the vast majority of Canadians have good jobs and opportunities, well, business will thrive. And at the same time, we have the means to help the most vulnerable with both tax revenues that will give them that boost up. But we're giving them a boost up so they can actually achieve the good, stable jobs of the middle class. What we're facing right now is more sliding out of the middle class into poverty, as we've seen by the rising usage of food banks. So we have to understand that the center of a successful economy is not top-down, it's middle-out. But this is a whole shift that this government is hiding its head in the sand from, is not willing to challenge. So they coast. And what we're busy doing right now, as Liberals, is drawing on experts and ordinary citizens, people who work in our municipalities, and people who are researchers, and people who are active runners of NGOs, and pulling together to talk about how we truly build a country that has opportunity for all once again. And I say once again because that's what defined Canada for many, many years. actually for all of our existence, we were built around a simple premise, a basic promise, that if you worked hard, and if we leaned on each other through the 2 long, cold winters, although less here in Abbotsford than in other parts of the country, you would be able to build opportunities for your kids that you never had for yourself. And that's been the story of this country, and that's one of the reasons why we've been able to go beyond the divisions that hold so much sway around the world. That's how we figured out how to be the one place that is strong, not in spite of our differences, but because of those differences. It's because our hard work together led to success for everyone. But now, Canadians all across the country are worried that our kids are not going to have greater opportunities than we did. And the tendency when we see a system that no longer works for us is to pull away and say, you know what, I'm going to have to close in on myself. And that's where the rise of the right comes from. But that's not good enough, because Canadians ourselves, we have the capacity to meet and solve any of these challenges if we pull together. So that's what this cross-country tour I'm on, that will take me through the next 2 years, and certainly has been the last 2 years, is all about. Not about promising answers or laying out detailed solutions, although over the coming years I will certainly have many to lay out so we can have a comprehensive, robust platform in 2015 to run on, and that's a promise. I won't be asking for your vote without telling you exactly what you're voting for. But in the lead up to that, it's very much about drawing people back into the political process and realizing that there is a role for you in it. As organizers, as fundraisers, as people who go out door to door, or just as active citizens taking an interest, sending in an email with your thoughts every now and then, or talking to your neighbors about what we can do together to get a better country. These are the kinds of things that I know Canadians are impatient to be involved in once again. This is at the core of the success of the Liberal Party in the coming years. And I thank you very much for being here.
Thank you so much, each and every one of you in this room. Justin did promise that during the leadership that he'll come back once he wins the leadership, and he has kept his promise. And thank you all, by the way, taking me, knocking your doors and signing membership all the way. I have been a privilege working with Justin for the last 4 years when Stephen Dion came into existence. So Justin is all in one. I mean, you know it all. He's a proven young man, starting his nomination in capital and then getting elected as a member of parliament, leader of the party, a boxer. So there comes 2015. We need your support. We need a change in this country. So thank you again, and please stay tuned.
Thank you, Jati.
Thank you.